one login for a team, right? Not actually
we'll
paying, not paying $25 per person on your team, right?
Yeah, that's what we're doing.
I think that's probably why Denver was asking, right? Yeah.
So we just signed up yesterday, and we've only missed one session, so it's super early to do it. So I would encourage you to do it. I think Rachel sent out, or maybe Lexi did, I don't know, like a link or something like that. You guys can click on. So I would encourage it. And there are definitely, like I said, webinars. So I'm a visual, and I get to hear it as well, and so on and so forth. So yeah.
And one of the things you guys that the first webinar was actually about putting your database into command. And I know that's all something you guys should be super excited about, but also want to get on that. So
that's really important that you're doing that, that Lexi mentions that, because right now the team, been in the business a while, so our database is kind of big, and there's also a lot of junk in there. So I'm pouring a lot of labor dollars in with my admin staff to get your database ready to make that transition out of Top Producer. So why do I say that to you? How do you relate to it? Because you may not be a big team. Is because you're lead generating in this class a lot. So you need to be putting that into a format that's going to make an easy transition, into command. So that is, I'm telling you, that is going to be, Keller Williams in command is going to be transformational. I don't even understand all of it, but it is absolutely 100% transformational. All your contacts, all your emails, all your marketing, all your CMAs, all of that stuff is going to be done right out of it. It's crazy. And, it's just leaving the other brokers like you're behind. It's like this. I don't remember, I haven't been in the industry that long, but, there used to be the MLS book and then the internet. That is the night and day difference between where this industry is going. So embrace it. And now's the time. Now's the time to learn it and understand it and really don't feel like you're stressed behind the 8 ball and not doing it. So I'd really encourage you guys to jump on it. Whether you're going to family reunion or not, please do that. It's going to benefit your business in a huge way. And you're going to be able to build loyalty with your customers much, much quicker. Much quicker. Okay? All right. So, Ignite, you guys getting some good stuff out of it, right? Okay, good deal. All right. So, a couple of bullet points. Like I said, 17 years. We did probably about 140 transactions this last year. Took 100 listings, and we closed 80% of those. So, we're right on track with the model. But I always have room to improve. I'm still a student of the market, still to this day. I still go out and door knock. I door knocked 2.5 hours yesterday. Okay? I still go out and do that. So, we're going to talk about some of the lead generation things and so on and so forth, and boots on the ground and get out there and get it done. So I really want to open up with your where's the sheet that we just had, Lexi? She left.
She bailed on you.
How do I get to the other screen? See, I'm not the. Hey, Wim, how do I get to the other screen?
You have a remote up there.
Oh, yeah, but I don't want the PowerPoint. I just want to go back to the. Wim, how do I do that real quick, man? I don't want to. I want to go back to that. I want to go back to that scorecard that you guys were doing. Yeah, right here. Thank you. Okay, so I want to spend some time on this real quick. This is going to be huge, and I'm glad that they're tracking it and so on and so forth. And I want to kind of go through and see this. Who's Denver?
He's on Wes's team.
He's right there. He's on who? You're on team?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm with Wes and Josh.
Okay, great. So that's amazing. Contacts and database connections, handwritten notes, homes previewed. Paul Morgan. Who's Paul? Awesome job, Paul. Elizabeth, Sheila, Where's Sheila?
Me.
There's Sheila.
I may not have updated like
That's
I
all right.
should.
Okay, so I just want to let you know that still to this day, I do these things. Still to this day, you're learning the foundational pieces of how to build a business. You do this, it doesn't matter what the market is. You're going to be able to bulletproof your business regardless of the market, whether it's up or down, because it's staying in contact. So, like this morning, I had to meet a contractor over one of our houses that was going to be tied, and it was a house I couldn't leave, but it was just he and I, and he was doing his thing. So, but I had to get my lead generation in. But it was perfect. It was great. I just went through my lead generation list for the day and knocked out my phone calls. I'm not quite done, but I knocked out the majority of my phone calls. But it's reconnection. It's reconnection and follow-up. And, all of those things, it has to take place. This business is not difficult. It's just not easy. It takes discipline. Okay? But you have to make your calls. You have to follow up. You have to do handwritten notes. Okay? You have to do those things. Handwritten notes, right here. It's going out to Danny and Jackie. Hey, thanks for the referral. Okay? I mean, these is probably, I don't know how many a week we do of these. But when was the last time you received a handwritten note thanking you from your insurance agent or whatever? You don't. They are sometimes pre-printed with a fake signature, right? Pre-printed, but they're not handwritten. Yeah, it's old school, but they work. As fast as this company is moving with technology, they're still asking you to do handwritten notes? Really? Because there's a human touch to it. And I don't like it. I don't like to do them. I mean, I don't like to stand in one place or sit in one place for very long. I just have to stay active. But I have to do that. Right? I mean, we laugh.
I found a way to do that. I make one phone call and I'm done.
Yeah, that's exactly right. That's exactly right. I think this area right here is certainly something that falls off the wagon. I don't think agents preview houses enough. I don't think they preview houses enough. You want to learn the market quickly? That's how you learn it. You're in and out of those houses. Yeah.
I was gonna say, I'm pretty much new to Springfield, so I've been doing a lot of the vacant house tours to learn the area. I did like 19 last time in one day in Republic, and I learned that town finally.
Well, it does help, and I'll tell you that you have an advantage over other people because you're new to the area. No, I'm serious.
She doesn't have the prejudice against her.
The book connections, or hey, I know a lot of people. If you put a work ethic behind that and a follow-up, you're going to yield the results that she's getting. And her business is going well. How many of you closed since you've been aboard?
3.
Okay, that's all right. But you're consistently in education, your listings are growing, so on and so forth, and you're turning this into a business. You're not getting a deal, you're turning it into a business. So yeah, we are spending some time on this. But I could teach a whole class on these 4 categories. It's that important. It's that important. And I would say of all the phone calls that I made this morning, I don't know, I have a list that I was calling from a group in our database. And of those phone calls in 2.5 hours, I may have talked real estate once or twice in all those calls. It's just a reconnection. Hey, how's Easton doing? How's Emerson? How's T-ball going? All right, good deal. So, did you guys get, the new year start off right? I mean, I know you're swamped at work and things are going good there. Yeah, this and this and this. So it's that reconnection. or that follow-up phone call, you know, saying, hey, so, you know, understand you're interested in, you know, in flipping houses or whatever it is, okay? But the contents of those conversations today, not all the time, majority of them were not on real estate. It was just reconnection. Does that make sense? I'm not calling them always to sell. Now, do we prospect for new business? Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay? You get something under contract. Chad, Michelle, okay, we came to, oh, Evan, we're so excited we're under contract. That's awesome. Okay, so here's what I need you to do. I need your attention on this phone call. Michelle, I need you to look in Facebook right now when you get off the phone and see who of your friends is looking to buy and sell. Chad, when you go back to the armory, I need to get with your buddies and find out. Hey,
Michelle and Chad.
yeah. So, you know, but the bottom line is have them working. I need your help, guys. I'm not a billboard guy. I'm not spending $1,200 a month on this or that. I'm not, you know, I'm not flashy or anything like that. Guys, I need boots on the ground, and I need you to refer me. Okay, I'll do it. And it's a very pointed conversation. And it's the same pointed conversation that you can have with your clients or with your friends. Yes.
Can you clarify what connections are?
Sure. Who can help? What are connections? You guys are doing them.
Who you're talking to?
Yeah.
Who you're talking to?
Yeah. So, you know, out door knocking yesterday, you know, I took Kevin, I don't know if you guys know Kevin on my team, his particular role is door knocking. He door knocks 300 houses a week. Yep. That's his job. 300 houses a week. Okay? So I go out with him and I'm like, okay, so today I'm gonna go out with you. He's like, all right, man, this is awesome. You know, this is exciting for me too. This is good, you know? And I said, so here's the deal. I'm going to coach you on some things to improve, and you're going to coach me on some things as well. Because you know, I'm still learning, right? I'm still learning. So I said, okay, you know, so we're walking. He said, well, we're going to do it together then. I'm like, yeah, we're doing it together. We're not going to do separate houses or anything like that. We're going to do it together. So it's walking out there, and we're talking about connections. Okay, we're talking about connections. And I said, what? So we're walking and going through, and you know, we open the door, and you know, and the gal comes to the door, and he starts off with the script, and that's great. You know, I'm a script. You know, I scripts and dialogues and learning and overcoming objections are all part of it. And my wife's like, hey, don't be scripting me. Whatever. 26 years, you know. But she's like, that's a script.
Yes, ma'am.
You're not closing me. But anyway, and they were all good. But you know what he did, what I noticed was, and this isn't a bad, it was just a coaching opportunity. It was just he got his agenda in his mind, and what he wanted to say, and all that he wanted to say during that open line when they first opened the door. And you know, and they were pleasant, they were nice, and all that kind of thing. We've all been there, right? And you know, the dialogue started a little bit, and no real lead there. And he says, okay, well, you do the next one. And I said, okay. I said, well, you know, I'm going to attempt it from a different perspective, a different angle, and I want you to listen, and I want you to go back to what I've trained you on, because you know there are a couple of points there. So the gal comes to the door yesterday. This was yesterday. It's cold, and elderly lady, sorta, and opens the door, and she's got her two little grandkids that she's watching, and so she said, you know, I'm not really interested in selling or anything like that. We've been here. I said, well, I understand that. I said, well, how long have you guys been in the neighborhood? You know, well, we've been here for 14 years. And one of the reasons that we picked, one of the reasons that we picked this subdivision was because it was established, it was about 14 years older, and had a good turnover rate, and so on and so forth, and he was focused on another one that was about 4 years old. And I'm like, well, let's talk about that. Why would I want to go to one that's a little bit more established and has a good turnover rate? Well, I don't know. I said equity. If I'm going to a 4-year-old subdivision, 5-year-old subdivision, I'm not gonna have a whole lot of equity in that. Does that make sense? So I want good turnover, I want a good turnover ratio, and I'm hoping to queue on some equity. And sure enough, that's what this gal was. Well, we've been here 14 years and this and that, and you know, and we love it here. We just love the love. I'm like, that's awesome. I said, well, let me ask you a question. You know, you and your husband, I'm sure privately have talked about where you would move. I mean, you're not in the market, but where would you move if you were? Well, we would do this and we would do that and we would do, and then it got to the point where, you know, these stairs are too much. And she says, yeah. Well, why don't you guys just come on in? We did. We walked warmer in the house, which was great. But the bottom line is we've got a connection. We've got her name and her telephone number. We've already sent her a thank you note. And we're going to reach out to her in 3 weeks for just a walkthrough with her husband. Just to kind of see where they're at. But the bottom line is, they're going to tell you no. That young man, Kevin, has been told no more times in 1 week. Unbelievable. But he just keeps on. It doesn't even faze him. But I said, but the bottom line is I want you to change the dialogue just a little bit and relate. You're in the Midwest. You're not on the East Coast where you're fast talking and, you know, slick deals, okay? The bottom line is you got to relate. But when you start to relate to people and take the time and get your agenda off of that phone call or your agenda off of that conversation, listen to me here, you're going to be able to peel back the onion, the layers. And that's when you're going to connect. And the most important thing you can do is train your mind to ask questions. I said, Kevin, stay in curiosity. When they make a statement, say, well, that's interesting. What are your thoughts on that? And then in our script practice this morning over the phone, right before we went out, I said, okay, so remember our conversation that we had yesterday. You're going to relate to these folks. You're going to take a deep breath. And you're going to focus on quality of conversation. Okay? Quality of conversation. And you're going to allow them to be part of the conversation. So it is a retraining of your mind to relate. And these were new contacts. These were new contacts. Relating is huge. And I said, and remember your transition statement to regain control of the conversation is what? Well, you know what? Switching gears here for a second. And you can take it anywhere you want. Back on the house, the dog across the street, it doesn't matter. Okay? So that's what a connection is.
Would that include when you're previewing homes, let's say they're open houses, and you talk to the agent who's selling, you let them know you're there, previewing their home, you're in the business, would you list that as a connection?
Sure. I was just talking to another agent yesterday, you know, on his open houses and things like that. Sorry guys, we're kind of getting into some things here, but I promise this is all going to be beneficial to you, okay? Denver, don't fall asleep, buddy.
I got really confidence.
I was talking to an agent yesterday, and he was like, hey, this, and this. Some of your clients came to my open house the other day, And I'm like, oh, okay. And I said, well, did you catch your name? No, it didn't. And I said, well, he said, but they knew you and all that. You're a long time client of theirs. And I'm like, okay, that's great. And I'm like, well, you didn't call me. He's like, well, no, I didn't call you. I'm like, well, why didn't you call? And it wasn't because of my clients. It was because of, I'm trying to train him to how to think on his downline. When you're at open houses and they're working with an agent, grab that agent's information. Jot it down. Call them after your open house. Yes, an agent. And say, hey, some of your clients, Johnny and Jackie Smith, came by our open house, and I don't know if they're really interested in the house or not, but I just want to give you a courtesy call and let you know that they're out. Now, what kind of message is that sending to an agent at another company or within our family? Right? Does that not strengthen a relationship?
Professionalism and common courtesy.
Absolutely.
It's not, nothing, we're not taking away, just kind of adding.
That's right. You know, how did they have it? I don't think they really had any interest in the house. I just want to let you know that they're out and about looking. Or yeah, they had interest in the house, whatever it is. Does that make sense? So you start to build those relationships with those people, and that certainly helps, at the very minimum, develop a professional business relationship, as Wim said, but it also could be a downline opportunity. Okay? Right? The downline aspect of it is huge. And all you have to do is relate to agents. My downline pays for my cab. I work at Keller Williams for free. Did you guys hear that? My profit sharing pays for my cab. You get that? And my profit sharing, like yours, goes to my kids after I'm out of the business. It's already in our trust. Okay? Sometimes I want to revise that trust. Revocable. Hey, we all have kids, right?
I'll take it too.
So I want you to think about all of those aspects when you're doing this. Because honestly, you can come to all these classes, guys, and you can do all of these things, but if you don't buy in, if you don't find the aha inside of you, you're not going to make it. Gary often talks about the big why. And there's the big why, and there's also little sub-whys. And what I'm talking about today is some sub-whys. Nothing, no one is really going to hold you accountable to work in your business the way you do. And I tell the team this, you guys have probably heard this. Tell Austin, tell Kevin, I said, do what other agents aren't willing to do. It's cold out there. Dang, it was cold yesterday. That wind, I'm telling you what, that wind was cutting. But we were out there. I had my Kleenex, my runny nose, and everything. Okay? But we were out there. That's what you do. And no, I don't like to make my phone calls and all that kind of thing. I mean, you know, hey, I'm human. But I like the results. Right? So you got to find your little whys and make it happen. Most won't. Some will. Questions, comments? Anything on this? Yes, ma'am.
I was just curious, during the week, what times do you find the best to really go door knocking, or is it anytime?
You know, it is, I mean, it varies. I mean, yesterday we went from, 10 to 1, 10:30 to 12:30, 1, something like that. It may be a little bit later in the afternoon, sometimes as well. And we got a lot of zeros yesterday. People weren't home or whatever. But the quality of conversations that we have is awesome. And we have, yesterday was a good day. We had 2 right here, right now, not too bad, and then 3 nurtures. So yeah, not too bad. That was actually pretty good. But it varies. Weekends, evenings, and he has expectations. He has to hit X amount of walkthroughs a week, which turns into X amount of listings, right? So, but it starts with the doors. So, and it's a number he has to hit. So, and he texts me, results. Hey, I got this. Hey, I got that. And that's awesome. That's what we want. But you got to be willing to get out there and do it.
So question, you said he has to knock.
Rainy days with umbrellas, cold rainy days are some of the best door knocking days. Not lying.
I door knocked for your open house on a rainy day, and I think I talked to 60% of the doors I knocked at.
Yeah.
But I was going to ask, you say he talks to so does he actually talk to 300
He
or
hits
he
300.
knocks? Okay, that's what I was going to say.
And I want to also kind of keep it simple. We do sometimes we do the door hangers, but I had an aha the other day from Kevin, and I said, hey, we're out of door knocking. He's been on me about getting some more door hangers, and but he laid off, and if I push them, they're allowed to push me, So he says, hey, on those door hangers, he says, just kind of forget those for now. I'm like, why? He says, well, just leave my business card. I'm getting more phone calls back because people are curious as to why I put my card up there. I'm like, so we are. So that's an expense I don't have to spend. So that's good news for you guys, right? You just put the business card up there. Yeah. Okay. Good stuff?
Yes.
Come on, man.
Oh,
yes. Woo. Jiminy Christmas. Gotta get some energy, man. My Chiefs are playing. AFC Championship.
And it's not.
Can I have an amen?
Amen.
Hey, man, I've been waiting all of my life for this game. I've been waiting all my life.
Are you going?
No. Best seat in my house.
Oh,
Best seats
I
right
agree
now.
with you.
I had some friends there Sunday and they were.
That's cool.
No. Oh,
Yeah.
they were posting pictures on
Yeah. Yeah.
live.
That's the best part of the whole day.
Beer is cheaper at home.
Last thing, where are you guys struggling? Where are you guys struggling on this? I mean, I know I'm spending a lot of time on this.
I'm struggling trying to remember equipment numbers in that before. Because actually written contracts I should have to be on there.
Okay, so let's talk about that, Steve. You're struggling putting them on there. Okay.
I'm trying to figure out how to do appointments. Like I had an appointment yesterday and got a listing signed, and then I have an appointment today, tomorrow, and the next day. But trying to figure out how to put the appointments in. I'm just technology challenged. I tried. I had an appointment. I tried. I actually typed it in, and it says, hold on, let me see if it's
You can
still-
Google sync Kelly with your calendar too, can't you?
I think so. A regular calendar? Oh, that might work. That might
Stephen, let's go back to your numbers real quick.
What are they
Let me
talking
know
about?
what it says if it's-
Tracking the numbers, I get that. I mean, it's not very fun.
I'm tracking them in here.
You're just not putting them on the board?
I'm just not putting them in the board.
Just put them on the board, man. Put them on the board. That's good. I'm glad you're tracking them because, you gotta know where you're at.
I've just started tracking them, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
This year I'm tracking all my numbers.
All right.
Evan, can I ask a question?
Yes, please do.
I struggle with consistency. I'll get, really good with lead generation and connections, and then that develops into business, and then the business develops into busy days, and fires to be put out, and, that up and down of, and I know, I've been here for 2 years now, so I know that time blocking is probably the best answer for that, but time blocking is, the struggle is I have to move that time block around to adjust to the fires, and then other fires are there because you do it in the morning, now you have to move to the afternoon because you have morning appointments, but your afternoon has already been set up because of other things. Consistency.
The morning hours are probably the best. I mean, Gary will tell you that the phone starts to ring about what time? 10 sometimes, So those morning hours are really the best to do that, knocking it out, getting your lead generation done, and we're supposed to do it 3 hours a day. Even if you can knock out your emails in an hour, your text messages, whatever it is, you just have to do that. Let's face it, I mean, for a person that is driven in their business, if you don't, how do you feel at the end of the day if you don't lead generate?
Yeah.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
You don't feel good. It's just empty.
And it's a lost day. That's
it's just, dang it, I just didn't get that done. So that's, in that moment right there, you have time. So make it happen in that point. So whether that is, if you're a hard copy guy, printing that call sheet off, and carrying it with you in the truck, whether you're doing it, like for me, everything's like categorized in our contact types, and going back to 2000 whatever clients, everybody's given a contact type, and just for me, I'm working all the way through all the years of contact types. Does that make sense? So the biggest struggle that we have in lead generation is list creation. That's the biggest struggle that we have, is list creation. But once that is established, you have windows of time, and you just have to make it happen. But to really get that discipline, you have to do it. You have to set on your calendar at a set time. You just have to do that. If you don't, somebody else will.
Yeah.
That doesn't feel good.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't stand up here saying, boy, I'm perfect or anything like that, because I am not. But, man, really pay attention to that gut. When it's gnawing at you, you need to make those calls right then and there. You tell yourself you don't have time. But you really do have 27 minutes right here to do it. And once you start, the momentum gains.
That's for sure.
Right?
Yeah.
And I think it's also important to kind of change up your environment when you're lead generating. Oftentimes for me, I'm at, in my office in front of my computer, and that's great, and that's awesome. But what I notice about myself, I'm a little bit more, if I'm looking, and it's okay, but I'm a little bit more goal-oriented in trying to get the business. I'm rushing the conversation a little bit more if I'm in the office. But like this morning, I was in my client's kitchen, in their living room, and I was just pacing, making my phone calls, and it was a lot more natural. I noticed that about myself this morning. It was just a lot more connection. I was in a home, it was just a little bit more of a connection. Does that make sense? So pay attention to your environment as well. But why do we make the calls? What's our goals? We have 3 goals in making calls. What are they?
Make an appointment.
1.
Connection.
2.
Referral.
3. You guys are well trained. Okay? That's exactly right. That's your goal. connection or strengthen the relationship. Connection or strengthen the relationship. Right? Don't forget that human aspect of it, guys. Super important. You make that connection, you've got that connection. That beats Zillow every day.
And you gotta love it when you look at the Zillow and they only have, it's a walkout basement and they only have the upstairs and they say like 170,000 and you're like, oh, we got 3,000 square feet
So
on a lake.
Zillow calls me the other day. They call you probably 45 times a day. They call me the other day. The guy says, hey, I'm so-and-so. He says, I control the state of Missouri for Zillow. I said, you don't control my business. That's what I told him. Have a nice day. I'm serious. That isn't, I mean, I am just, you guys do these things that we're teaching you to do. Because Zillow and all of these companies are stealing leads from you. And Kelly Mortgage and Command, Gary Keller, one of the reasons he got back into the CEO position was to regain control and take over this technology aspect of it. Because he is out there defending your livelihood by himself. I want to make it really clear, I have never bought leads before. We closed 140 transactions last year with no leads bought. That is not the silver bullet. If you're buying leads, you're buying into your demise as a professional. Because you're putting a support system on that. That's why we're aggressive in prospecting. My job is to beat them, the Zillows, to the table.
I've used that line on Zillow. I heard you say that line before Zillow called me. I was like, I try to get them to them before you do. So,
Okay. Yeah.
have a good day. I hang up on them.
Okay, so we're going to cover some cool things. We got a couple days of classes. We're going to cover some cool things today. Pricing, how the market works. Local market conditions, where to get that information. And pricing criteria. You guys excited?
Yes.
That was almost good.
Yes.
Sweet! I'm an interaction guy. How do I make that bigger?
Hit F5.
F what?
F5 at the top. On the keyboard.
Oh, here. Oh,
No, on your keyboard.
hey, what are you laughing at, Wim? Hey, I know my strengths and I know my weaknesses.
And that's okay. And then
We
you
still have a rotary
But-
dial?
use your clicker.
But I'm learning, Kelly. What'd you say?
Do you have a rotary dial?
Yeah. No.
Showed at home, had one a couple days ago.
Really?
Now, how come this works for everybody else? My wife's like, give me the remote.
Push space bar on the mic.
Make sure the remote's actually on, I shut it off.
Oh, there we go.
And if it's not, you
On
can
the
just use
side,
it.
there's an on-off button.
You guys, is this being videoed?
Yeah. Yes, actually it is.
Oh, really? Thanks. You're awesome. Okay, and one thing I do want to hit on is make sure you're adding people to your database. So an example, those 5 people went into our database yesterday, and thank you notes already went out that afternoon. That's part of the wrap up. Okay, so make sure you develop that discipline of doing that.
Are you in where are you? Are you in our book?
Huh?
Are you in our book?
Yeah, I'm on the PowerPoint. Yeah.
So,
Okay. Okay, so market statistics. All right, so really how are you guys getting your market statistics? How are you guys preparing for your listing presentations in regards to the market, all those kinds of things. I understand, I certainly do understand, previewing the houses and things we've talked about already. But how are you guys learning the data? Where are you guys going? Huh? Flex, yeah. CMAs, all that kind of thing, right? Absolutely. Okay, so there's a great snapshot I want to show you that might be beneficial to you, okay? And it's all ready for it to go. All right, how do I go back to the...
Just hit escape.
All right, escape. Okay, I want to go back to the tab. Right here, probably. Okay. Let's see here, there we go. Okay, so you guys can go to your Flex, and you can go to Market Summary. How many of you guys are aware of Market Summary?
No.
A couple of people are, okay? So, Market Summary will give you a snapshot of what the market's doing. And in this particular case, I'm going to go ahead and customize that. I'm going to go to previous locations, and I'm going to go to Springfield. But I'm going to go ahead and hit December of 18, search. Okay, this is going to give you a snapshot, a wonderful snapshot of what's going on in Springfield, what's going on in Ozark, what's going on in Republic, but this one is Springfield. These are board stats. These are trends. This is going to help you put numbers behind your scripts in your education and dialogue. Does that make sense? So, what's the average days on market? Well, it's actually about 73 right now. Now that's throwing everything into the mix. That's luxury homes. That's homes below 25,000. That's everything into the mix. But that's going to be that general Springfield area. About 73 days on the market. Oh, really? Yeah. Okay. So what was it last year? Well, last year it was 109. So what does that tell you? How would you interpret that?
Houses are selling faster now.
Yeah. What else?
Getting better at pricing them.
Yep. Then you have average sales price. What's your average sales price? So that's where you need to really focus on is what your average sales price is according to and yours compared to the board. So if you need to up your price range in regards to your average sales price, what are some behaviors that you can do to focus on that? Open houses in certain categories, door knocking in certain categories, those types of things. Make sense? Networking groups, they're typically a little bit more professional, could be a little bit higher price range. Make sense? But you're going to be able to talk about stats. These are talking points. And I wouldn't grab all of this data. I would just print off a sheet and highlight some things that are often asked of you.
Average days on market are always. That's top.
Yeah.
That's top of mind. How long is it going to be on the market for?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So, or average list price and average sales price, or whatever it may be in that regard. Absorption rate. Okay? Now, what's absorption rate teach you? What's absorption? Who knows what absorption rate is? And no wrong answers. It's cool. When?
People continue to buy at the rate that they're buying. You see how many homes or how long it would take to deplete our market if no other homes were added.
There you go. Did you guys catch that? Okay. So this 2.29, those are months of inventory. So just to back up what Wim said, if nothing else came on the market and the market continued, we'd have about 2 months worth of inventory on the market before we hit goose eggs. Make sense? So when that trend is 6 months and below, what kind of market is it?
Sellers?
Sellers or buyers?
So,
That's a good question. Sellers.
So,
Yeah, 6 and below.
lots of buyers.
So is there a way to customize this to like look at a higher priced point?
We will, just a second.
Okay.
So, 6 months and below, 5 months and below, seller's market, okay? So watch that absorption rate. As that trends up, the market is changing. 6 months is what? What type of market?
So neutral?
Balanced market. 7 months and above?
Buyer's market.
Yeah, boy, I remember those days. Woo, doggy. Huh. 10 months of inventory on the market, 11 and a half months of inventory on the market. Wow, that's crazy. Yeah, took a lot, lot of pricing strategies to get things priced and so on. Now, in that type of market, tons of cash. Lots of cash pulled out of the stock market, so don't ever discount a down market. Those are some good days. Okay. But that absorption rate is going to be a key factor. Your competition's not going to know what that is. You guys catching me?
Can you put the definition of that again?
Absorption rate is inventory that's currently on the market that if nothing new came on the market would sell out in a matter of months.
2.9 months.
Correct. 2.29 months. Make sense?
What's the lowest you've ever seen that kind of go down to?
This
I'm
is
just
the lowest I've
kinda
seen.
curious on that.
This is the lowest.
I was just curious if it's like ever down like, yeah, if we sell out, we'll be down in a week. I was just curious if it had ever gotten like that low or anything.
I don't know that it's going to get probably too much lower because it's, this is generally speaking. This is throwing everything into the mix. This is Springfield. So Ozark may be a little different. Republic may be a little bit different. Sold listings. Sheila, to your point, there's your price categories.
Okay.
Okay?
And does it have a different absorption point?
Well, I don't know no, they really don't have an absorption on this. You just kind of have to figure that, but that would be probably a little bit too much. But what you can see is, 2018, I usually don't focus on the month so much. 2018, really, 180. Maybe up to even, 300 right in there. But my point being is you have a tremendous amount of activity in here, right? So areas of lead generation, these are numbers that I pull out and say, okay, what's our area of concentration when we talk about lead generation? When we talk about open houses, this is conversations I have with the team. When we talk about, areas of focus, this is a sheet that we pull out and we talk about. Does that make sense? We want to be where the activity is.
Yeah.
Yeah, we want to be where the activity is. Make sense?
Makes a lot of sense.
This is a really powerful sheet.
I never thought of reading it like that.
Look at that. Look at the inventory, 100 to 100,000 to 140, down 30% collectively. Yeah. That's pretty huge, isn't it?
When I do my open houses, that's where I stay in that between the 100 and the 199 range.
Yeah.
And I always get the best open houses at those houses.
Sure.
Versus a 60,000 or a $300,000 home.
Yep.
Are those all, I can't see it real well, but are those all negative are they all negative? Are there any positive, like, I was looking at the 300,000 as 399. Is that a negative sign or a positive sign in percent change? I can't see it.
Negative
That's
20.
negative 20.
What were you looking at?
Negative
That
28.6.
It's a negative sign, okay.
Well, that was the month. The year is 11. So we've had a 2.4% change, it's a negative 2.4 in the sold listings. Let's go to actives. Actives is 8.5, negative 8.5. What does that number tell you? What does this number right here tell you? How would you interpret that? I'm challenging your minds because I want you to
If there's
think.
not enough listings. Yeah.
Yep, that's right. But you know, the interesting thing about it is, this number was what in March of 18?
I have no idea.
13.84%. 14%.
To the positive or negative?
Negative.
Negative. Oh.
Market's catching up to it. So, how do I know that?
As a whole.
Yeah, how do I know that the market's kind of catching up to itself without even looking at this page? What behaviors do I see?
Stuff sitting longer.
Yep. What else? What else? Come on.
Interest rates going up.
Yeah. What else?
Absorption rate?
No. What else? Come on. Behaviors from agents. Come on. We were right on track there.
What'd she say?
No. What I've noticed is, like in the higher, like 200 plus price range, that it seems like people are like, hey, why aren't people showing my houses? I haven't been having listed.
That.
From agents, I've seen that.
Price reductions. Realtor luncheons. Price reductions, realtor luncheons. DOM growing. What else?
Fewer multiple offers.
Lack of multiple offers.
Fewer multiple offers.
Yes. Okay, those types of things. So those are all trends saying, okay, pricing. We got to be right on pricing. Really got to watch your pricing in this market as it's making a little bit of a transition. Okay?
I'm seeing more open houses now too, struggling to get them.
The strongest pricing is your original pricing, guys. We're going to talk about some scripts and how to close them here in a few. Okay?
I'm curious about something. It's kind of an economics question, but you just provoked my curiosity, so I'll ask it. If there's lower housing inventory, wouldn't that sort of just intuitively anyway suggest that sellers could command a little bit higher price? In other words, because they sort of have a rarer commodity, if you follow me there.
I'm going to answer that with a graph.
Oh, good.
You have two different types of market. You have this is an inventory. Okay. You have two different types of, two different markets right now. Anybody know where I'm going with this?
Quality of the listings?
Nope.
Price points of the listings.
Help you win.
The price point for the
Help you.
I got an appointment, I gotta go.
It's a great visual for your clients. Okay? So there's two different markets going on right now. Right? So, Kim, when we talk about pricing your house, and we will today, I promise, and I know that you're really curious as to where your home is. You know what? The two of us, we talk about pricing. We even agree to it in writing. I mean, we put it on paper. We're in agreement, right? But you know who sets the market or sets the pricing?
The
Yeah,
market.
is the market. Wim, do you remember my script here? If the market accepts our pricing, we should receive 10 showings in 30 days. And for every 10 showings, one written offer. Now, let's see, that's how the market is going to communicate to us. The market will communicate with activity or silence. And if we get the 10 showings and no written offer, could be pricing or condition. And you know what? After I coach you on condition, which will be the next class, I think Friday. After I coach you on condition, you follow my lead on that, it's not going to be condition. It'll be pricing. Make sense? Now, if we don't get the 10 showings in 30 days, what is it? It's pricing. Why? Where are consumers? Where are they shopping? Denver? Bro, come on, man. Wake up. He's falling asleep right there. I'm kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm just messing with you. Where are they shopping?
Market value or below.
Online.
They're online. Okay.
What'd you say?
They're online.
They're online.
So when we talk about pricing your houses, man, I tell you what, I mean, we can push the price and we can talk about the market. We can talk about wiggle room. We can talk about got to have room to negotiate, all that kind of thing. But you know what? At the end of the day, it's the market that sets the price. And in today's market, there are two different groups of homes that are on the market. There's homes that are on the market. And there's homes that are in the market. And the homes that are in the market says, yes, that price makes sense. Yes, condition makes sense. And we're the one that gets the offer. And we're selling quickly. And we're selling close to list price. And the market is accepting it. Or you can price your home to be on the market. And the market will reject you. And it will give you silence. And these homes here are helping these sell. So as we talk about competition in the market right now, let's not help your competition sell.
Amen to that.
Let's not help your competition sell. Let's net you top dollar on getting your home sold. And pricing it correctly in the market. Because this is your DOM that just keeps going up and up and up and up and up. Right? So then, if you're pricing it here, you're chasing the market down. I won't bring it up today, but there is a great, not in your books, called 3-line pricing. Very powerful tool. We won't get into that. We'll wait for another, and that follows that graph. Powerful tool. I love to do it on a napkin. I love to do it on a napkin right there at the kitchen table. Or on my notebook or whatever. 3-line pricing.
Just there, you're talking about like you're above on or just so well.
We'll talk about it. There's four categories of 3-line pricing.
So I just think that if I'm a buyer in that market, I'm gonna come in and I'm gonna offer 15% below list price anyway, so I'm gonna list my house 15 over your price that you're giving me today.
I get that. I mean, I totally do, but here's the deal. Number one, you got first impressions. I mean, we've heard it all of our life. You're following me on condition. You're saying, okay, I'm going to paint that room when you didn't want to. I'm going to do those. You're following me on the condition aspect of it. You are, and I appreciate that very much. You need to follow me on the pricing aspect of it because I want the market to accept it. Now, when you list it at 159.9, when you list it at the 160 mark like I'm coaching you to do, guess what we don't control?
The offer.
I don't control the low offer that comes in. I don't control the fact that it comes in at 105 or 115 or 121 on 160. I don't control that. But guess what? You're in control of your reaction. I don't want to put you in a position to where you're on the market and we're chasing the market down with price reductions. Let's take advantage of what we know now. Reduce competition, proper condition, top pricing, and let's get it sold.
I like that control coming.
Make sense? Uh-huh, yeah?
Yeah, this makes a whole lot of sense.
Not over talking.
No, you're not talking enough. We wanna hear more.
Well,
Silence is doing the talking.
Yeah,
That's right.
silence.
most powerful. That's my favorite strategy.
I hate it.
It's an awkward silence. Awkward silence. It's a very, very powerful tool. So when we talk about these things, I'm not saying, guys, I want you to print off a hard copy of it, highlight some key categories, so you have some talking points. I'm not asking you to remember all of this data, because I don't. But I am asking you to print it off once a week, post it to where you can visually see it, and keep your mind abreast of local market conditions. Pay attention. Call me if you have questions. Seriously, my cell phone number is 300-EVAN, 3826. Okay? Call me. Okay? I've made a lot of mistakes. I've failed my way forward. I am serious about that. Okay? So there's that's who Keller Williams is, man. A lot of people came along and helped me. A lot of people still come to Lexi. I'm like, Lexi. A lot of people still come alongside and help me. Okay? I don't know it all. I told Kevin, I said, I don't know it all. I said, I want to learn something today from you. So, but the bottom line is you got to know your data a little bit. Right? You got to know your data. You're the market expert. Questions? No questions? Really? You guys are smart. No questions, really?
You're doing so good, we don't have any questions. I just
Taking
like
lots of
it.
notes.
So you understand, we didn't talk about supply and demand, but we understand what absorption rate is. And we understand what supply and demand, how it works, and so on and so forth. So what objections are you coming up against right now in this market? Come on, you're alive. Come on, tell me.
Well, it's the seller's market, I should be able to get more.
I wanna wait till spring.
Well, wait till spring. Okay. Well, how do you overcome that objection?
Well, if you overprice it, then the sellers aren't gonna look.
So I'll go back
Our
to
buyers
pricing.
aren't gonna look.
I'm going to show you my step-by-step today in pricing. Okay, I'll show you that. And many of you have seen it, but that's okay. Many of you have not. I want to wait till spring. You know, why is that an objection right now?
They think there's
Because
gonna
the
be more
winter months, they
buyers,
don't think
there's
that
more
no one's
companies
buying
wanting
it.
to money.
They all say flowers. Like, what? I want the flowers to come out. Well, anytime, here's your script. Well, you know what I'm saying. Pretty and all that stuff. But the bottom line is, I understand waiting. I do, I get that. I mean, that's kind of a common theme, but, Kim, when you think about it, as a seller, why wouldn't you want to put your house on the market at top dollar now when you have reduced competition in the market? I mean, you could wait till spring, right? But you're going to be competing against 7 to 10 homes in your price bracket just in the area. Because everybody else has that competition, or that frame of mind. So think about it from from this standpoint, if we were to get in business today and you were like, hey, you know what, I've reconsidered and yeah, that makes sense, let's put it on the market now and hold true in negotiations. Because we know there's not a lot of competition out there. And the buying pool is smaller, I get that. But the buyers that are out there in this weather are buying a house.
They're more motivated.
Right? So therefore, we can stick true to our negotiations in regards to pricing.
Well, and interest rates are just gonna go up, so if I was buying, I'd wanna buy before the interest rates go up.
Yep, that's exactly right.
I mean, that's a big, big one right there.
Well, and that's where you have to step back and say, okay, let's get off your house, and let's think about it from a general standpoint. Let's look at it from a big picture. Okay? Typically, when you get in a price range, you know, it could start certainly in the 300s, but 300s on up, and certainly at luxury home level, they're not concerned about the payment aspect of it. They're more of the interest in its entirety. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
What they're paying over the course of a period of time. So yes, that would work, and yes, it does work. Just know that not everybody's going to quite buy into that. Does that make sense? Because a lot of those categories are payment driven. Well, what's my payment going to be? Which I get. I mean, that's kind of how we all kind of grew up. Well, what's my payment? What's my payment? What's my payment? Does that make sense? But helping people just by explaining the timing of the market is super important. You guys getting that? Good? Okay. So let's do, I'm on page, where the thing is. I'm on page, you guys have archives, oh, you do, good. I'm on page 12, I guess. Local market conditions, we're kind of talking about inventory and so on and so forth. Okay, so what I want to do is, I want to tell you kind of how I prepare and what that kind of looks like when we receive a lead, when we receive, you know, a seller lead, when we receive, you know, what process do we follow, right? So the first thing that we do when we find a new lead is we set the appointment. Now, what type of appointment do I set?
Just a viewing
Listing
appointment.
of
Yeah, it's a walkthrough.
Yeah.
So it goes on my calendar as a WT. So that's a walkthrough appointment. What that is I get husband and wife there at that walkthrough. Like tonight I've got a walkthrough. Both the spouses are going to be there. Why do I know both of them are going to be there? It's because I asked for that in setting the appointment on the walkthrough. Okay, so here's the script that I use on walkthroughs is, okay, so, you know, Denver, as we talk about, you know, your house and so on and so forth, hey, what I'd like to do is I would really like to just schedule a time for me to walk through the house. I want to meet your wife. I want you guys to be able to point out the benefits to the home. And honestly, I want to be able to feel the home. And I want to slow it down and take some notes. It's not going to take very long. Here's what I'm not going to do. I'm not going to quote you price. Although I'm going to have a good idea of where you are. We'll just set that up for a later time to talk. But this will just be about you pointing out some of the benefits of the house. Because what do people like to do? They love to talk about the improvements that they've made, what they've done to the house, right, Nick? I mean, they just do. So I'm gonna capitalize on that. And I'm gonna take my notebook. And you know, this phone, boy, I tell you, it's awesome. This is great. And I use it a lot, obviously. I mean, I have to, right? But the bottom line is I don't take my notes on my phone. Now, Kelly's going to be a little bit different because I'll be able to do the voice thing, and that's going to really help with so I am going to transition there. but I'm not taking the notes in my phone because I don't want them to feel like I'm being distracted and texting somebody. So I grab my notebook and I start with the exterior, and I point 4 or 5 things out about the exterior, and then about, you know, just the home in general, and then specifically about the kitchen, specifically about, you know, the master bedroom, and maybe a few more features. Those bullet points that I just gave you, if you click on my listings, you'll see that in my marketing remarks. Boom, 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 boom. Just in that, okay? But I take those notes. But it just kind of goes back to that handwritten thing. That really tells them what?
That you're really paying attention.
Yep, I'm paying attention.
I'm focused on them.
I'm focused on them. Now, how many of you, Wim, I know you have, you've heard me say this before, right? These notes and so on and so forth. Okay, how many of you guys have tried that? Nobody? Okay, all right, good. But the bottom line is it works. And what I'm doing right there with that new client is I'm establishing what Stephen just said. I'm building a rapport, I'm building a trust. And this is a great script. I love using this script. Guys, I'm sorry. I'm slower than, I'm taking no, you know, I'm slower than the tour. And I apologize for that. I just want to get the details in the home. And people are like, no, it's okay. Does that make sense? I'm not rushing a sale. I used to go in and say, oh yeah, that looks good, hands them up. Oh yeah, okay, yeah. Yeah, sounds good. Okay, yeah, I think we could probably really get probably 145 on this. Conversion ratio was way down. So I had to really stop and reconsider what I was doing. Now we have an 80% conversion. Okay? Pretty good. But my point being is, do that in some form or fashion, but be careful with your phone. Okay? Now the reason I'm going to be able to do that with Kelly is because it's going to be voice and it's just going to be cool. Okay? It just is. I mean, I'm just like super excited about that. And I want them to go with me on Kelly through those tours. I want the homeowners so they are more apt to get connected and download Kelly on their phone through me. Makes sense? So they stay loyal. Right? So my point being is that's my first thing I do. And then a lot of it's just that connection, building that relationship. They're in the kitchen, whatever it is. Okay. So Sheila, here's our next step. I'm going to pull away, and I'm going to push the value of your house. I've got a really good idea where it needs to be, but I'm not going to quote you that today. So, is there a time that works best for you? And what I'd like you to say to me is, we work opposite schedules, something like that.
We work up, my husband works evenings, I work days,
It's
I
crazy.
can't really give you a time right now.
It's just, it really is crazy. It is. So here are my thoughts. What day do you typically overlap? I mean, if you guys have an overlap and you guys kind of see each other, what day would that be?
The weekends.
Okay. So when you look at Saturday or Sunday, what typically is your most restful day? And
Not a restful day.
not a restful. No, I get it. It's just busy.
Sunday.
Sunday. Well, I'll tell you what. Let's do this. Would you be open-minded to go ahead and set it maybe at 1 o'clock, just after lunch? We can have a good conversation.
I might, but my husband is, you know him.
I do. So let's do that. Let's go ahead and set it for 1 o'clock on Sunday. You confirm with Terry, and then we'll go from there. Sound good? All right, good deal. But that way I'll be prepared, and we're just going to have a great conversation. But yes, I do want to push the prices of the house as much as I possibly can. And I appreciate the tour, because this helps me. Make sense?
Are you saying I want to push the price
Sure, I am. I don't wanna leave money on the table for them. I'm gonna push it as much as the market allows me to push it, right?
And that's your way of telling them that you're gonna mull this over, like, how you're gonna process what you toured and seen and gathered all the details and then come back.
Every house deserves it. Every house deserves it. Yeah, well, there's pictures online, you can see it online. You know, I get that. But you can't feel a house. I mean, when you guys bought the house, did you buy it online? Well, no. Okay. Same thing. That's why I have to get in to see if we have a buyer. Make sense? Take them back. But it's a process. They know what's next. It's aggressive without being aggressive.
What would you say?
It's setting the goal. I accomplished my goal, and that's 1 o'clock on Sunday. Check. Then I go back and I prepare. We'll get into that.
What would you say if you were prospecting a house that's been on the market for a while and they never reduced the price and nothing ever happened with it, and now you're getting a chance at $300 or so, and you're gathering this, you're doing the tour, would that be different?
Same thing. Same thing. I follow the process. I follow the process. Even if it's a 322 or 422 that I really know in my backyard, you know, or whatever it is. If I know that subdivision, you know, like the back of my hand, and I'm like, nail price, I just know where we need to price this, I'm gonna follow that process. Because it is just about establishing that trust and rapport and respecting the home.
Are you leaving that conversation kind of off the table where they're concerned about, well, it was on the market for 90 days at this price?
Or commissions, or all of those things that come up in the walkthrough. You know what, we're gonna talk about that 1 o'clock on Sunday. I promise you, we'll address that at 1 o'clock on Sunday. And you know what, to talk about your house that was on the market before, we're gonna address them. We're gonna address some of your concerns and certainly my ideas. Well, you know, really what it is coming in with a refreshing, energized approach.
But you don't talk about
Nope.
the market, what the market's telling you, or you don't even go into a conversation, the market told us this was not the right price. Okay.
Not my walkthrough. It's all a process. It's all control. That information, you know?
You've gone them all at once and they can just walk away from you.
Yeah.
Getting that second chance to get in there and said, okay, we saw the house, now we're gonna sit down, now we're gonna run the numbers.
Right.
I'm gonna answer all your questions right here, right now.
You know, this is kind of a unique example. It's certainly not. But when you sit down and for the first time and you're meeting somebody that's had a difficult time selling their home, and I'm going in with honesty and integrity and showing them the market and following my process, the likelihood of me getting that $125,000 price drop is significantly greater if I follow the process rather than telling them right here. I wouldn't even get a secondary conversation. You follow me? 125,000. You got to be prepared for that.
I got a question for you. So, you said your walkthrough, and there could be 3 or 4, 5, 6 days go by before you go and have that second conversation. Do you feel like you have set the hook good enough with that walkthrough that they're not going to choose another agent, or if they're getting other, you know, we're just kind of getting our feel for agents right now. Do you feel like you do a good enough job at that walkthrough that somebody else doesn't come and grab it? The reason why I ask is, you know, in bold, you know, Diana goes through her script and doesn't want to leave without getting an agency agreement. with that first meeting? So I just want to know your experience in that.
Well, my experience has been, I live in the Midwest, and building that relationship, even though I've met them for the first time, is super important. It's not over talking. It is practice scripts through the book Shift that I've learned over the years. And being able to trust in that process. Again, the walkthrough is establishing trust and rapport. I want them to understand or have the thought, we want to meet with him. I want to know what he's thinking in his price. It works.
How often does it backfire?
Oh, I mean, we get canceled walkthroughs. You get canceled walkthroughs.
But I mean, the second appointment.
Oh, yeah.
How often do they second appointments cancel?
They don't. That's a good question. The walkthroughs may cancel, because you haven't met them and all that kind of thing. But the LAs, once I'm in person, the LAs don't cancel.
It also
But
like
they're qualified
that's a
too.
test. You know, it's like if they're not serious enough to, if you did a good job doing what you said, establish trust and rapport, and they don't put out their effort to secure that second appointment, then I don't know if it'd be a great, listing anyways. I don't know.
Right. And you can kind of, you can certainly qualify that initial conversation over the phone as you're setting that walkthrough appointment. You can certainly begin that dialogue. So where are you moving? What are your thoughts? What's your time frame? So why are you in the market? Job change? What's going on? Just be curious. Just ask them questions. Those are qualifying questions. All right. Well, I'll tell you what we ought to do. Let's just go ahead and set up a time for me to walk through the house. Already qualified them with 4 or 5 questions. Set the walkthrough appointment. Set the LA from the appointment. And yes, it is important that we have both of them there. You ever heard the script? Well, let me check with my wife. Well, let me get with my husband. Right? We've all heard it. But if I have them both there, they have that conversation after I leave. I connect. I'm relational. I listen. I don't talk a whole lot. I slow things down. And I keep them curious. They want to know where I'm going to price that property. Yep.
I just wanted to point out in how you explained this, one of the key elements of the 2-step process is that at your listing appointment, you're looking for the first opportunity where they will both be together again. And in that, you avoid them going with somebody else because he's already got the stage where they're going to be together again. If they're talking to somebody else, they're talking to one of the decision makers, not both. And that's key, I found, it's that 2 decision maker.
Absolutely, it's really a key thing. Absolutely is. I guess I don't really sweat it on, if they're talking to this agent or that agent. If they are talking to this agent or that agent, I use those scripts over the phone and the walkthrough and so on and so forth. I get their curiosity so high that I tell them I want to be last, not first. And I close them. Make sense?
When would you use comps?
Show you right now. Okay. Okay, so let's kind of get into some comps real quick. what I like to do, let's say that, I don't know, I just want to kind of keep it simple.
I'm gonna give you my last name.
Let's see here.
Try it, right? Here's what we got.
Okay, let me give, one of my guys always texts me, asking me for comments. Hang on just a second. Okay, let me see here. Okay, let's see here. Oh, okay, let's try this one. You guys just bear with me, okay? I'm trying to get you somewhere in good time here.
Let's see. Record your calls. So,
Okay, let's try this one. So, you know, let's say I have the subject property and it's 913. I hope this is a good one. Timber Ridge. Oh. All right, let's see what this one is. Okay. All right, I mean, that's decent. Okay, that looks like that one's in Nixa. All right, it's pending right now. Okay, so, I pull up the address, and then I like to open up another tab. I just like to see what the subject property is. Next. Okay. All right. Okay. What? All right, so then I go into a quick search. I got this one up. So what I like to do is I like to really kind of stay. I like square footage. I like age. 3 2s. Forest Park. I don't really. The agent doesn't really matter to me at all. Anything like that. Okay. So the first thing I'm probably going to do is I'm going to go ahead and stay in Forest Park. So I go to this next tab, and I'm going to go into my subdivisions. Oops. I can't really see it.
Since Forest Glen.
Oh, Forest Ridge. What was that? Was it two R's?
Forest.
One. Oh, there it is, right there, right?
No,
Forest Ridge?
no, you're doing Forest Park.
Oh,
Keep
yeah.
going up.
Yeah, go up. Go up, we'll tell you when you get there.
South Forest Ridge. Forest Park?
Park
That's the
Estates.
States.
There we go.
No,
That was
that's
the
on.
Keep
second.
going, keep
Keep
going.
going, you're not there yet.
There you go.
All right, let's do that. Okay, cool. So, all right, so there's actives. Now I'm just going to get kind of a general sense of what's going on in Forest Park. You're going to learn a couple of things in this particular case. So I'm going to go back to edit search. So I got 6 actives. I'm not even looking at price right now. I just wanna find out what's going on in the subdivision. And now I'm going to go to closed. Sweet. So we got a 29-to-6 ratio. What's that mean?
There's a lot sold.
There's 29 sold and 6 on the market.
So you got a pretty good turnover ratio.
Yeah.
Okay, Liberty Place in Republic, Rolling Prairie in Ozark, those two subdivisions have a really good turnover rate as well. But having said that, they're almost identical. It's really crazy. It's almost identical in there. And one's in Republic, one's in Ozark. It's just very interesting. Okay. All right, so you have a 29-to-6 ratio in this particular case. And I want to kind of see what the pendings are right now. 2. So you have a 6, 2, or you have a 29, 2, 6 ratio. Make sense? So you still have a little bit of activity. Now, what's interesting to me is we have 6 on the market. In my mind, with 29 sold, what should we have? Probably 1 or 2 actives and 6 or 7 pendings. Make sense? So without clicking on it until now, I'm going to guess that our DOM is growing. Could be wrong, but I don't think so. Is that active?
Now it says six,
Yeah.
5 instead of 6.
Oh, there must be a short
Someone
sale.
just may have, yeah.
Pending.
Yeah.
Oh, that's what you're saying.
All right, let's look at this.
Price reduced.
Somebody in here has a house.
Look, see what I say?
There's no
138, 124.
That's not the right,
What?
the one on top is not the right neighborhood.
Yeah, it is. It's on Forest Park.
No, the one on, oh, you've went to it, Kimberlake City.
Oh, sorry.
See? Yeah, that 352 is Kimberlake City.
Okay, gotcha. All right, so, but my point's still right. 126,
Well, yeah.
124, 77, 36, 22.
Oh, there was another, the 36 was Kimberlake City.
Yeah, the 36 is
Oh, okay.
Kimberlake City.
But, okay, gotcha. But the bottom line is we have 3 of them anyway. But the DOM's growing. Now, what was our market summary
79?
in this category? It's like crazy. 459 homes sold in this category?
Oh, yeah.
So what does that tell you about these sellers? I'm helping you interpret this data. What does this tell you about these sellers on these 3 homes?
They're pricing
They're not
too
worried.
high.
That price too high, they're not worried, ready to move down.
Their DOM is growing.
But they haven't had no price reduction. Well, one did.
Those are sellers that are,
On the market.
On the market, not in the market.
are you guys putting this together? Right? Okay, so I do want to know, I want to keep in track, I want to keep in my mind these 3. So I'm going to go ahead and pull these 3 I'm going to get out of Kim City. That one. And then these 2, right?
Yeah.
And there's one.
And then that one right there.
Was it, yeah.
I think
So we have 3, right?
Mm-hmm.
Alright. Okay, so, and our subject property is 1312. It's gonna be built probably about the same time, 3-2.
Yeah, they're all about the same
Yep.
age.
That one took at 312, so I wonder what they did to it. They may have made some improvements, to it. But it did take. In other words, it accepted the 135.
Yeah, those market for 60.
Right. But, so you're gonna click on pictures, and this is really important. So, I want you guys to really pay attention, because I'm showing you step by step on how I do this. And you can do it however you want. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna print those off, and I'm gonna do my CMA. I'm gonna use selected. I'm gonna use quick. Download it, or maybe I should just view it. That's what I should do. Can I exit that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, and this is the data that I'm going to have. Right? And
That's
then,
not all the way
as I go through the pictures in my notes, this is how you become market experts. You print off 2 copies. One for you, one for your client. Yours is a cheat sheet. Listen to me here. When you print that off, you're going to write your notes on each one of those homes as you click through the pictures and read through the market remarks. New roof in 2007, granite countertops, new laminate floors, rough shape, whatever you can pull. You know, great colors, not so good colors. You follow me? Carpet stains, new carpet. You're going to write 7 or 8 bullet points on your CMA, your copy only, and that will eliminate, that will do 2 things. It will eliminate and validate. It will validate you as a market expert, and it will eliminate an objection, which is,
My house is better than that.
no, which is, Lexi, have you been in these homes before? Have you been through these homes? Right? You talk about 7 or 8 different details in the house. Right? You follow me? Good? Simple. Now, also know that I don't have 27 of these homes. If I had 27, I'd be narrowing it down, which we're going to do in the next category, closed. So it's done. I've got actives printed, ready to go. Got my notes, right? Good?
So you always do an active and a close?
I do 3 categories.
Maybe
Show what the activities.
it shows what's selling at buyer's one.
Okay,
Do you look at price per square foot whenever you?
rarely. Good question. Rarely. Rarely.
You said you do 3 categories? Closed and
Pending.
pending.
Actives. So I'm going to show yesterday's data, today's data, what the market accepted, and what's still in the market. Okay, so those are my actives. I've got those done, right? You with me? I'm going to go back to edit search. And I assure you, I 100% promise you, I am not going to show them 29 homes. No way. It's too much data. It's just too much. It's respect your client. Don't overwhelm them.
I think they lose interest if this goes too long.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they're just zoning you out, man. They just zone you out. It's like any interaction that you're having with somebody that all you do is talk about your business and the market, blah, 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 they start to drift. It's not a conversation, that's a versation. One person's doing the talking. Same thing. Don't overwhelm them with data. Right? Make sense?
Yes.
Alright, so then I've got my homes. And I'm probably going to get a little bit more, I always like to do kind of price. Are we doing okay? Oh, yeah, time. I got 15 minutes. Yeah, some of these aren't, pulling out obviously.
That is.
Yeah. So that's where I'm going to get a little bit more specific on 1312 on square footage, so I'm going to run a range. I may go ahead and squeeze this a little bit, and I may go ahead and do a range of, probably ought to get Nick's in there just to clean it out. Okay, there we go. And then I'm going to go ahead and get square footage. I'll probably do kind of a 1250 to maybe 1400. I got 13, maybe 1450.
Is what you had.
9, that's okay. Maybe back that off a little bit. That's all right.
Go to 1300 on the other side.
Okay, so there's my list. Alright, so there you go. Those are my comps and so on and so forth. And based on the condition, based on how I'm coaching them and so on and so forth, I'm gonna make that price assessment accordingly. Right?
Uh-huh.
Does that make sense? Okay. So we have some trends, and then we have our active trends. 127.8, about 100, let's call it 128, 127, those types of things. Then we have active trends that are pushing 135, 130. That's why the DOM is growing just a bit, right?
Yeah.
Does that make sense? So it all goes down to positioning. So when I look at that data, I've got a 127, I got a 128 sold, hard data. Got probably 4 or 5 of those that I'm going to show them. Going to follow the same details on the closed. My little cheat sheet. I'm going to have that in front of me. And I'm going to be prepared to talk about it. So I'm going to show them the trends and actives and what those trends are showing. And those showing is a longer DOM, this, and this. Okay? So when we go in to price your home to get it sold, we're going to take those 2 categories into consideration. Okay, so I've got my comparables. I'm ready in that regard. I'm good to go. Right? So let's just say for easy math here, I'm going to go ahead and use, let's just say this one. I'm not really paying too much attention to the house, okay, guys? And those 3, okay? Now I've got my 6. Okay, those are my comps. All right, the next thing I've done is at the walkthrough, I've already established, I've asked them a key question. Okay, so my script is, Denver, as I prepare for our next appointment, I'm going to prepare a financial statement for you. You know where I'm going with this. I'm going to prepare a financial statement for you. I'm going to show you the ins and outs of the transaction from a math standpoint. Because what I've learned over the years is I want to avoid surprises in real estate. So having said that, what do you currently owe on the house? Bam, direct question. And then I back it up with, just a ballpark. With body language and a step back. Because that's a pretty direct question to ask somebody. And then I soften it with a secondary question that's a little bit more Midwestern. Just a ballpark is fine. My tonality drops. It's more relational. I give them physical space. I don't know. Well, if you did know, what would it be? 97. Okay. Make sense? And I don't press it. But I got that number. That's at the walkthrough. Not doing that over the phone unless I know it. Follow me? Then I go into my estimated cost sheet. What? Oh. Just the internet's a little slow for some today. We changed all our passwords.
It just had yours up there too, just a minute ago.
Oh, it did? Have my password up there?
It said, do you want to use the password for your name?
What was it? Hang on. There we go.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Man, I tell you, all the,
I know.
I think I have a loop called Sample Street. Yeah, there we go. All kinds of stuff. Sample loop, maybe? Let's see what's the newest one. Let's try a sample loop. Yeah. So here it is. Is that right?
Good faith statement.
I just want to show you. Oh, here it is. Seller estimated proceeds. All right. So that's where I put in the numbers. So I've just finished my comps, and now in my office, I'm preparing their financial statement. So I've got their taxes, and, you know, this is January, so I estimate a closing at the end of March, or maybe the end of February, or something like that, to price it right. You know, something like that. So I put 3 months in, and I figure out what it's gonna be on a monthly basis. And today is January 16th. Okay, you understand that, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm projecting this to close, right? Okay, then I put that amount in, the prorated taxes. Then I put their payoff, or the 097. Then I leave commission off on line 12. I do put in we have a transaction fee of $247. So I put that in. I'm just gonna go ahead and put this in. Let's say it's, I don't know, $400. Oops. $400. Okay. Their payoff was, what did I say?
97.
97? Closing service fee? Okay, so that goes with me. But notice that I haven't put commission, and I haven't put if your property sells at, because we haven't talked about it yet. I'm not there at the listing appointment yet. Make sense? So those numbers are ready to go. It's print off, it's put in the folder. Then we talk about the pricing aspect of it. So then we go to the listing. Process that I follow. 3 things are going to happen today as we, you know, just reconnect with them, all that kind of thing. Always accept if they say, hey, can I get you a drink of water?
Accept it.
Yeah.
Mirror
Absolutely, yeah. Or asking for one. Hey, can I have one? Asking for it. Okay? Seriously. Because, oh yeah. Well, let me do that. You follow me? I mean, I get thirsty anyway, so I was one. But my point being is just be cordial, be real, you know? Okay, so as we kind of sit down, you know, and talk about your house, gosh, number one, thank you for the walkthrough. I mean, I really appreciate that. You've got some really cool features of the house, and I think it's just a super remarkable home. You know, and yes, I think we're going to be able to push price. I'm going to walk you through some condition things with a signed agreement today. That maybe some things you thought about, and maybe some things you haven't thought. Oh yeah, because they want the condition list. So I thought what we would do is kind of go over 3 things. I'm just briefly going to go over marketing, which is our other class. And number 2, I'm going to show you what the market trends are, kind of show you the comparables. And number 3, we're going to price your home. Make sense? It's almost verbatim in my scripts. I don't over talk. I make my 3 points. I tell them what the expectations are, because what they want to know is that price. Right? But I'm walking them through the process. Make sense? Is good?
Yeah. Really good.
Go into the marketing, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so the next thing I want to show you is the trends in the market. Kind of what's going on. So my question to you is, what do you think is going on? What do you feel in the market? What are you guys seeing? Get them engaged in that conversation. I see. I understand. Don't say, oh yeah. I understand. What else? This is, yeah, I understand. You guard your words. Well, my neighbor sold. Interesting. Interesting. Make sense? Let's have a conversation, letting them do most of the talking. Okay, a good deal. Let's look at the neighborhood. let's look to see what we can do to push value in our house. Where does the market feel like? What can we push the price? How can we push the price to where the market accepts it? Okay? When we go into the active, we go into the close. So this first one is on, Dunlap Street. And as you can see, it's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath. Actually, I'll just go right into that. Okay. So, as we kind of talk about the pricing aspect of it, just real quick, and this is a script I feel it's important. As we talk about the market, these are where the scripts come out. Before I get into the CMA, I kind of jumped ahead of myself. I talk about in or on. I talk about correct positioning, how the market accepts. I talk about the 10-to-1. Before I talk about any specific pricing or even neighborhood, I talk about all of those things during that marketing aspect of it. So I want to overcome objections before they become objections. And my marketing, which you'll learn in a couple of days, those are designed to help me keep me on track to overcome the objections before they become objections. That's what my marketing is. Make sense? So I've set them up, and I said, as you're going to see, I'm going to show you some homes that are on the market that are trying to push the value, and the market's just saying, no, we can't do it. We're not doing it. And we're going to identify some of those homes today. And we're going to identify some homes that said, yep, that makes sense. Under contract, closed. You guys getting this?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So then we've already done those objections. We've already talked about that. And I promise you, in my marketing, I will get more into that. Okay, but for time's sake, I'm going to go right to the comparables. I promise you I'll go into more objections on Friday. I think Friday, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. Is that good?
Oh, yeah.
So we're going into the trends and so on and so forth. And as you can see, we have this house and this house. And look at this, guys. It's at 124 days on the market. I mean, what are your thoughts on that? Oh, Evan, they're probably, they're asking too much. And they, you know that house? The carpet in it? I'm just telling you, it has to be replaced. I mean, they're just going to feed into all that. Oh, you see it? Oh, I saw it online. I went to the open house. Oh my gosh. They're just saying. No. Okay. Yeah. So anyway, so then we get into the close. So after I present all the data and we go through the 7 or 8 points of our little notes and so on and so forth, Kim, so in my heart of hearts, I just want to ask you a question. Where did you feel like your home would sell? I mean, no wrong answer.
140.
$250,000. My house is better than everybody else.
So, after looking at the data, where did you feel like your home would sell?
125.
Well, I think correct positioning on your house is going to be higher than 125. I think we need to be at 127.9 and a fulfilled condition list.
And a what list?
Fulfilled condition list.
I like
Now,
doing
if you
that.
follow my lead and we push it to the 120, this is how the market should accept it. And this is what your net should be.
Do you smile during that presentation?
No.
Okay.
I
know. Okay.
Well, it's
Right. You
I'm
look so
nice.
You are. I know you're nice. You look so serious. Don't you think?
Hey,
Am I the only one? You look so serious.
Well, it's a serious ballgame when you
Yeah,
come
no,
down
you're
to
right.
it.
I've never had anybody say,
Do You smile.
Why aren't you smiling?
You just look so, you're just intense, that's
Well,
okay.
it-
You're doing your job.
It's a huge financial decision
I
for them.
agree.
Mhm.
So then I go back to the estimated cost sheet, and I figure out the 128, 6, I add up everything up, and I said, this is what your selling net will be at this. Does that make sense? And you know what, Tim? Gosh, I wish I could get 140. I really do. And I'm not saying this is the price of this house. We're just talking numbers. I would all day long. I mean, I would push the price. And I think you're getting that from me. I really would. It won't appraise.
I don't mind waiting 30 or 40 days if that's what it takes. I just want to get the most I can for my house.
I get that. But you know what we know right now, Tim, is the current market right now. And today is top dollar. I don't know what tomorrow is. And you know what? I mean, it's like, it's your first impression. So here's what I would coach you to do. Let's list it at 128. And we may have to hold true in negotiations. I will fight for your equity. You understand that, right?
Yeah, well, hope so. Because this bottom number is lower than what I thought it was going to be.
I get it. I get it.
Because I got to buy my next house too. You know?
I understand.
Yeah.
Well, and when we step back and look at the next house, we need to take advantage of some interest rates right now. So, there's a balance, isn't there?
Right.
You know, just just tell them that. There's a balance.
So to get this bottom line up, you know, how about just 1%? That gets me my next $1,500.
Clarify your question.
Could you lower your commission rate by 1% so that I can get my bottom line up $1,500?
No.
No way, no way.
You can find an agent that will. You're not going to find an agent that will protect your equity like I will. So with that thought, let's go ahead and get in business together, put the terms outlined, and get the home on the market, and work collectively together as a team.
Can I keep the pen?
The pen doesn't work. Everything's through dot loop.
You won't need it.
You won't need it.
Evan, I'd really like to sell my house now, but, you know, I know prices are up and it's a seller's market, but I don't wanna, even though I can get a good price, I may have to buy another home, and I have to spend more for that house. So how do I gain by selling in a market that prices are already high? I may be selling high, but yeah, I'm gonna have to buy high as well.
Yeah. Well, you know, and that's where we're going to have to, and Wim, I'm going to take you back to a conversation of in and on. If we find a home that's on the market with DOM climbing, I'm hopeful that we're going to be able to negotiate a price that's correct for you in that regard. Okay? And save you some money. The bigger picture I want you to think about is the interest rate. Regardless of the $150,000 home or the $225,000 home that we're purchasing, is the interest rate. Now I want to take you down a journey of interest rate over 30 years. That's a lot of money. If it goes up 0.25%, it's going to cost a lot more. And there's really no sense in paying the bank any more profit. Would you agree?
Yeah.
So just know that as we defend your equity, we're going to shoot you straight on the buy side too. When we take you out to the home you don't buy, the home you do buy, we're going to say, Wim, I know that this is the house for you. Obviously, it's not priced correctly. This one's priced wrong. This one's $5,000 too high. We're going to have that communication on every house that we go through. Okay? just know, as I trust you in the medical profession, you can trust me as your professional real estate. Okay? Make sense?
Yes.
Good?
Yep.
Yeah.
Very
Kept you
good.
guys, 5 minutes over, apologize for that. Friday will be a little bit more of the objections, but we'll go through it. What'd you guys get out of ahas for today? Come on!
Looking at more of the numbers, than actually understanding the market numbers better, because I really didn't know what the 2.3 meant months. I really didn't,
Yeah,
until you just said it. I was like, oh, that's what that 2.3 means, it's almost two and a half months.
data can be overwhelming. It's a lot of data, a lot of numbers. But if you can take that market summary and just highlight a few numbers and just learn that, you're in good shape.
Oh, yeah.
And the comparables. I mean, I showed them 6 comparables. I'm not showing them 29. It kind of goes back to the door knocking. Focus on quality and not quantity. Follow me?
Yeah.
You focus on the quality of those listings, of those comparables. What else? Tim?
Going way back to the beginning of the class, touching base on interacting with other agents and other brokerages and stuff like that. You just never know when that's going to be back. You know, and do the best thing that you can for the next person, even when you're in a strong negotiation with them. You turn out and you've got 3 bids that are exactly the same, and you've got a relationship with somebody, you're going to get your buyer into that house. Simply because you called them and said, hey, just want to let you know your buyer was around the house today. You remember those good turns. You remember those handwritten notes from other agents too.
You do? Thanks.
Yeah.
Appreciate that. Because we do handwritten notes to the other agent on the other side. It's meaningful.
They're few and far between, and you remember them.
Yeah, you do. And those are people you want to do business with. You know, I had an agent, senior agent call me with another brokerage, and she sent me a defects notice probably 5 or 6 days ago. And you know, buyers take their time. They use about all their 10 days or 15 days. You know how it goes. And so many times I get a defects notice, and then the next day I get a phone call from the buyer's agent saying, "Hey, where are you guys?" I'm like, "Hang on, I just got this." And this agent called me probably 6 days into it, and I said, "Patty, I just want to thank you." She goes, "For what?" I'm like, "Just for chilling. You know, I'm working on it. And for me to have just a little bit of a breather to gather the information I need to gather so my sellers can make an educated, informed decision." I said, "I appreciate that." And she's like, "All good." You know, it's things like that. So it's just strengthening the relationship. And they're all on my phone. A lot of agents are in my phone because they want the voice recognition. You know, "Hey, Ronnie, what's up? Hey, Stephen, what's up? Hey, Cynthia, what's up?" You know? Okay, what else?
You gave me some great information, some great advice from time that I'd like to share with the room, which was project being flexible as an agent. I've used that so many times just to keep things on a above board, good level, you know.
Yeah.
Rather than, this is what I have to have. It's like, hey, this is what we're asking for, you know, let us know how it works out. It's so much better than we're walking if we don't get everything.
Yeah.
You don't win.
No, you don't. What else? What are ahas?
I had one.
Yes,
It was I've had a hard time with my big Y, but the sub big Y. Like right now, my husband's part of that government shutdown. Guess what? I've got a lot going now all of a sudden because I have a fire under me. One of us needs to get paid.
One of us needs to get paid. Yeah.
But I realized that was a sub Y because, you know,
It's a sub Y.
normally it's not the case.
That's right. That's exactly right. I think we all have a lot of sub Ys. What else? Come on. Give me 3 more. Denver.
There are houses on the market and there are houses in the market.
Yeah.
Very true. Isn't that so true?
Yeah.
Book shift. I didn't think of that. Book shift. Most awesome book. Okay, 2 more. Yep.
I've used your baseball on so many different things besides just what do you owe, you know, how much you paying monthly for rent. Just give me a ballpark.
Secondary
If they give you a
questions.
specific number, you have their trust. They'll go look it up. How much do you own this house? Just a ballpark. I owe $98,722.32. You have their trust.
That's exactly right. For secondary questions. Yes?
That is the easiest way to pull CMA numbers together I have ever used.
Oh my gosh. Appreciate that.
CMAs are okay.
Yeah, thanks for that.
Yeah, man.
Can you do it again?
That was.
I didn't think of it
Can I give you
today,
the
but
address?
last time.
I spent hours putting it together. I spent hours putting it together.
I get it.
And that just makes way more sense.
Well, 322s are a little easier in that regard, you know? You know, it's, you know, this was a simple one certainly, but thank you for that. I just don't like to provide too much data. I'm a guy that likes to kind of keep it simple. I keep it simple in my scripts. I keep it simple, and I just try
Well,
to
if we
keep
make
it
it too
simple.
complicated, we can't explain it.
I know.
And they're not gonna understand.
We get lost.
Yeah. You know, and I think when it comes down to like acreage and shops and, you know, houses on acreage or, you know, combination thereof, you know, you gotta break it down and just think, okay? What's a shop worth? Well, shop's gonna be this size, it's gonna be rebuilt, it's gonna be about this price. So what's acreage going for in this area? That's gonna be about this price per acre. All right, so if this house were not on acreage, what would it be? It'd be about this price, and I combine those three.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, you know, it's,
Break it down in smaller chunks instead of trying to do the whole.
That's good, I've got
Trying to
this
find
one
a
acreage
house.
in the shop Friday.
yeah, so. All right, Wim, you're an old timer almost. What'd you learn?
Know your data, know your numbers. but
Yeah.
Long enough all down.
Yep.
And that's something hard for me, because I want to
Validate
show
yourself.
that, yeah, exactly.
Dude, I get that.
I think you need to really study the market
I agree.
before, you know, really know the market to be able to explain it to somebody, to any listing, you know, this is what's happening, and in order to list it in the right price.
It's preparation, a little bit of preparation, and be process driven even in your preparation. It'll simplify things for you. If you over talk on a listing,
You talk yourself out of it.
you're not validating yourself. You're talking yourself out of a job. Mark my words on that. Just go in prepared. Be relational. Yes, last one.
Never should they delete Jen.
That's right. Door knock, call, follow up. It's not rocket science. Thank you notes. And guess what? I hate all of it. I mean, I'm human.
But if you wanna get paid, you gotta do it.
It's a great business. You're with an incredible firm.
Do you really hate all of it?
I love the connection aspect of it. I hate the getting started aspect of it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
You break the inertia, you get the momentum going, and it's.
But I do like the results.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys. See you Friday. Probably have one person come. Nobody left.
Now, we'll be here.
I'll be here.
We'll be here.
Yeah, we start roll tomorrow.
Always here.
Right, Lily, on it?
Hey, should mention, we are looking for an ISA. Anybody that is interested, that is looking to be a part of a team, that's good on the phone, that is goal-driven and is coachable, trainable, has to have the right personality, and that's what we're looking for. I failed 4 times in that position, but I'm doing things differently this time. So, casting that net out to anybody that would be interested in
Can you explain that?
inside sales agent.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's so many different.
Yeah. So,
ISA, OSA.
yep.
ISA are the ones that make the phone calls on Saturday, right?
Yeah, set
Inside
appointments
sales,
for
yeah.
me. Connecting with new business, connecting with past clients. technology-driven, social media.
You need a 25-year-old. Anybody who works, huh? The Lord does something. And I was gonna tell you, you can have my pen and it works. Look what it says. Do you have one too? Do you have one?
Pen? Oh, James Roach.
You don't have one of those? I get those out at restaurants when I go to the service. Or the DFL ones.
I keep those, I keep the, yeah, she's, I keep those, musician. So anyway, they were I just got to talk about it. I said, you guys go to church? No. We're not. I said,
You're like, get ready.
I'll be right back. I was just giving them a second chance, and so on and so forth. Now we went through that. So we just built a relationship. I said, I'm going to ask you to do me a favor. I said, you seem like a responsible person.
Oh, awesome.
I said,
He was really nice, and we were there.
Do you speak Spanish or did you translate it between?
He knows a little bit, but yeah, I just, you think that.
yeah, we can do that.
Really?
I'm not kidding.
I know, put him in the second.
Tires, everything, gone. So we went back by the house after dark. 3 weeks later.
They have good credit, I mean, they have that.
They don't have an established history. Okay. No, I had a client like that who went VA, they did a manual underwriting, they charged an excess.
And I said, Anthony, I just want to come by and say, you follow through on your word. Thank you so much.
No, he just asking for,
That's right. And that's my industry, my
Stuff like
business.
that, but
See,
I was really upset for my client because the fact that he needs an online banking stuff and
Yeah, I get it.
they're at town for seconds.
I worked at the church, so my grandfather would
Without
have
that, but at that point, he didn't want to switch, he negotiated to move down.
I need to be able to work
Because I wanted to go somewhere else.
And I
And then
mean,
they put down
you
a half
smile,
percent.
you're very direct, you can see everything, but
Anyway, but.
you're just looking at me so serious, I'm like,
So,
oh, okay,
you
yes,
know,
but.
it just makes
But
me.
I mean, so you decide whatever you want me to.
It's the ones that have been the ones that have come to me frequently.
Because
Because the fact that they've been pre-approved for things like online, or it expires, some, you know, they did it on escrow, you know, on escrow. So they, like the one who got, we had a contract, he got approved for $250,000. We got him under contract at $200,000. Yeah, but they didn't tell me what his escrow was, and then the extra interest, percent interest, because when you mentioned escrow was $350 and the extra payment was $150. I was $500.
Oh, no, I don't.
So we ended up doing a mutual release and we bought it on for $100,000. But, you know, it just totally changed, because like, I was like, I can financially afford this. However, I am not comfortable, this is not my comfort zone.
And this couple.
This isn't this. Now, I will tell you, I really do like this theory. Oh, yeah, we like it too. It's just not a good fit. Yeah, good. Okay, let's go on to the next one.
Okay.
You know, no trust.
All things here are.
I need to get, I just need to change my mindset.
They're
You're right. I have this program right now, I was telling them, I went to, they don't want, they're not ready for it. They want a CMA before they'll do it, they want to do a policy before they'll do it. They want me to show them, I should show them something.
That's where they, and that's where I came from, one of the.
But I have a contribution, I was gonna go last time.
That's what it was, you
This
just,
last one was
contribution.
I mean, it was so nice, it was so nice.
It was to be able to feel like you're.
They're with it.
Oh my gosh.
That's great.
It was such a important thing.
They said, she sent me a text, it said, we want to see the CMA, you just
I mean,
know we want to.
it's your home, you know, the home for
I
us.
can't do show them home.
They're trying to, the rest of the family.
It's all about scripts. It's just about, hey, Mark,
So you
that's
have
about
four listings right now, right?
So,
Yeah, that's awesome. So tell me more about your listings, where you do that stuff, and.
you know,
Are they all
with the
mixed up?
open
I know.
house.
My very first one was, my very first one was my
Really what
brother
I
and
think is just.
sister-in-law out there. They have a lot in.
So let's agree we can.
Okay, okay.
And, it's right there on 160.
We gotta
And
trust
they
them.
said, we're gonna help you, that's when we're still 29, the first time. We're gonna give you the listing of it.
Because when she texted me this morning, or last night, she said,
And that's why.
So, yeah, let's go
We're
ahead and
gonna
test
give you
one.
your name there and
That's all I'm
give you
saying. Now, let's,
They're really going to
let's
So
not
I
lose
legal, there's
track.
no official, and-
Let's not lose track.
But, then I started calling people and this friend,
I know you got the one that dies. Like the.
that's my second.
Sure,
The first one's a friend that she said,
Oh,
I was
oh,
telling
oh,
her, we're gonna just, we have two houses, she said,
we
sell.
need to know.
Okay, I'm right over. So, one was the small one, 1920, 2 acres, and then the other one was a real big house, about a 35 square home. Yeah, and he went, so I went and talked to my husband, and it's like a farm, so they decided to give, the big house to a farm agent, to sell it. Okay, a farm is just only has an acre. Anyway, so I listed their house that, and it went under contract, like 4 days after.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, it was great, and but the inspection, after I told him, I said, we can get you more money if we can fix this house.
That's what happened.
I don't know,
I just sold yesterday.
so, okay.
I had to work,
Yeah.
I said I could sell it for 44.
Yeah,
And I told him now we can sell it for more money.
yeah.
The other one was the neighbor that I know she died, and I called, I didn't realize that she died like 8 days ago.
Oh, no, I didn't realize it was that close either. I remember you telling the
I
story.
never would have called, but it picked up, and they were really happy that I called. And, you know, of course, the first question is, how many houses have you sold? I'm like, brand new. You know, I'm brand new, but.
So something that, Brian Stone said that has worked out really well with people when they ask how long you've been doing it, say, this is my first year in real estate. You don't have to tell them you've been doing it for a week, because at the time I've been doing it for like a week. It goes smoother than, oh, I'm brand new.
No, he told me, he asked me how many houses I sold. And so I didn't tell him. So they asked me, so why should we hire you? Because I'm gonna do, I have a lot of time, I'm gonna give 100% of my time to you. And they sign, the same prices and price. Just because of letting pricing.
And I see, I did something similar, and I felt like I was chasing the market down. We pushed it, she wanted higher, and we kind of compromised. The comps showed that houses had sold for that price up there in that area, but it was during summer, and we listed it, if she would have sold it, listed it maybe 6 weeks before, I think we probably could have, we would have been right on it. But, started, it didn't, you know, list it or get it ready, and that was one of those things that I put in the contract, special agreements, like what I said.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
I do, because the fact that there's not like a single person, actually, another one that signed her, she was like a little bit later, and she's still not ready, she's like, well, the goal now is March 1st. And it's my daughter's teacher, and she has a house that she bought, like too much trash, and they were her boyfriend and that stuff, or her boyfriend broke up and did some damage to the house. And so she's totally upside down with it, so she had like stuff that was almost finished, and there was like this one bedroom she bought with flooring, and anyway, she got somebody in there to finish the things, somebody that I referred her to, and then I helped her paint last weekend on Saturday.
All right.
And so she's got a few more things that she needs to paint, so.